Alright, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing? I forgot to do the clap, but I don't care anymore, bro. This is the third time I'm trying to record this one video, bro. So, okay, so the day I streamed, which was like, what was it? It was like Wednesday or something. I was supposed to record it then, but I didn't feel like it. Then I was supposed to record it yesterday. I didn't feel like it, but today I'm gonna force myself to do it because I want to upload this part. But yeah. Also, something I didn't say in the last part, I actually got this like idea off of like an AMV, which is actually pretty decent. Like I didn't think I would watch AMVs, but yo, it was a pretty good one. So I'll leave a link to it in the description. But yeah, with that out of the way, I'll just get on with it. So hopefully this one turns out alright. The 10 months go by, and during that time, All Might still hasn't like chosen anyone as his successor because no one likes Miria. But during the 10 months, it's raining. Well, that's okay. During the 10 months, Deku has like been sort of torturing himself, I'm gonna say, and Venom, like as well by overcoming like his weaknesses with fire and noise like sound. So every day Deku went to some abandoned building and burned himself alive in a large flame of fire while Venom like struggled to fight it. And then for the noise part, I'm gonna say Deku made as much sound as possible, making his eardrums literally bleed. So like he has blood coming out of his ears, but Venom heals all the injuries at the end of it, but they do that like 3 hours a day. Like, 1.5 hours for the fire, 1.5 for the noise. And Deku tries not to like get into any more fights, but when others tried to fight him, he didn't turn them down. And I'm gonna say during those fights, Deku didn't use the tentacles or black slime and just the super strength. So later through like the school year, no one really messed with Deku, and they see how he's winning more and more fights. So basically, like he's also been thinking of ways to use Venom's powers. And I'm gonna say now in present time, Deku is like at home working out, so Venom's not weak with fire and sound anymore. Like it only feels like a small like pinch now. So basically, like yeah, he's immortal now. He has no weaknesses. So Venom tells Deku that he's like really good at using his powers, and Deku says like that if anyone else got him, they would have probably like been going insane. And Venom laughs in Deku's head and goes like on to say that Deku seems to be rather enjoying it though. And Deku replies by saying there's so much that he can do now because of Venom. And Venom then mentions that the UA entrance exams are about to start the next day. And Deku looks at the calendar and goes like a smirk, thinking how he's going to be stronger than everyone else. I gotta take a drink. And then he thinks about like him rubbing it in All Might's face, like to have like, or okay, to not have a quirk, like letting everyone train theirs for years, just like in just now getting one coming on top, like that's insane. Like nobody would think that. And Venom sees what Deku's thinking and says that he has like a massive grudge against All Might. And Deku loses the smirk and nods. But Inko comes home in through the front door and Deku hears it, so he walks in to see her like, taking her shoes off, and she says hi with like a grin. And Deku says like hey back, and Inko sits down saying that everything's been going perfect in the past 10 months. Like, she sees that Deku has a quirk making him happy. Like, only the super strength though, because Deku has to show off something. And all the bills and rent they are paid off, and Deku's going to UA. I'm gonna say like she also like knows that he's gonna pass, but I want to make Inko happier. I don't know why. I think in the last one I like made her way too sad and all that, but Nah, it's okay. I think it's okay now. But the next day comes by and Deku goes to UA. So when he walks through the gate, he heard someone behind him, and Deku looked over his shoulder and seen Bakugo with an angry look, and Bakugo just grabbed Deku by the collar and like of his shirt and yelled at in his face saying that he was gonna kill him just like he said. But Deku said nah, and he grabbed Bakugo's wrist and squeezed it, almost breaking it. Which Bakugo let go of Deku and fell to his knees, holding his wrist in pain. So, Deku just, fixed his shirt and walked away, smiling and, like, licking his lips as he walks away. And Venom said that Deku didn't even use his super strength. So, Deku just scuffed and, like, seeing that everyone was looking at him. So, Deku just did, like, a little quick nod and, he waved. he's just like, okay, yeah, yeah, it's over. So he took the written exam and he got the high score, perfect. He got perfect score. And I'm gonna say Deku is extremely smart in this one. I'm pretty sure I said it in the last one, but he has a large IQ. And Venom was also there, like overlooking to see if he has the right answers. And I'm gonna say Venom sees Deku as more of like a friend than a vessel at this point, because like in the normal movie, it wasn't even that long, and they're already friends, so why not? But then he goes to the auditorium and sits down in his seat next to Bakugo. I'm gonna say Deku just smirks as he walks to his seat, seeing Bakugo's wrist have a cast on it. And when he sits down, Deku hears like crackling coming from his right side. I think that's what it was in the anime. But he knows that Bakugo is gonna try and like throw an explosion in his face. But so Deku just puts out a tentacle closing Bakugo's fist, stopping the mini explosions. And Bakugo gets like looks confused and gets angry, seeing the black slime go to Deku. And Bakugo yells at Deku to like fight him right now, but Ida gets up and yells at Bakugo saying to like shut up. And President Mike also tells Bakugo to shut up, and he just sits down with smoke coming off his hands. Oof. But Deku does a quiet laugh loud enough for Bakugo to hear, and continues to wait for the rest of the exam. So yeah, Deku's just like, yeah, screw off. But Deku does. Blah, blah, blah. Come on, third time's a charm. All right. When the presentation was done, Deku walked out to the gate, and as he was walking to the front, Deku felt like a tap on his shoulder, and Venom instantly reacted, wrapping their arm with like the black slime. And Deku turns his head to see a girl frightened a bit, and Deku calls back the slime and says he's sorry for that, and she shakes her head, snapping out of it, and says it was like her fault for tapping his shoulder without saying anything. But Deku then says like his name and asks like what does she want. She says her name was Uraraka and asked him like what happened with him and that one kid who grabbed him by the shirt. And I'm gonna say Deku lowers his mask because he was wearing one and looking at her with like a smile and says that he was just a nobody trying to fight him for no reason. And she stands in shock, not knowing how to feel about him. But other people looked at Deku too, like, and were listening in on the conversation, like, wondering the same question. But when Deku lowered his mask, though, they seen that he was smirking with his, like, with, still having faded green eyes. Like, it was kind of, like, unpleasant. And Venom wonders, like, why everyone was so fascinated by Deku. But then he remembers that for some reason people on Earth wonder most about mysterious people. Hmm. Yeah, so Deku turns around and the gates start to open. So everyone sees Deku have tentacles come like out of his arms. And wait, did I say that? Yeah, the gates start to open. And Deku just turns around and has like, the black tentacles coming out of his like arms. and he just slingshots himself to the center. I'm gonna say he destroys like 10 robots in 2 seconds, and the heroes like spectating see Deku and start watching him like saying like he has great efficiency. So other students start to pick up and like pick up the pace and take out robots, but are nowhere compared to Deku. Then I'm gonna say All Might finally recognizes like the face, seeing that it was that quirkless kid 10 months ago. Because All Might had like Deku in the back of his head for a while because he did feel bad, but like not as much. And he starts to wonder like how did he get a quirk all of a sudden? So Deku is like basically tearing apart the robots left and right, either like by his hands or with the tentacles. And Deku then, yeah, okay, yeah, where was I? Yeah, Deku then like looks around to like him, to see like uh, the giant pile of like robots that he destroyed. So the heroes watching are amazed by what they see, and Nezu instantly says like, "Yo, this kid's accepted." Like, what just happened? But not only did he get the perfect score on the written portion of the test, but also beat the robots in record time. So All Might continues to watch Deku, and the other heroes see it as All Might recognizing like a future hero, but really, All Might is beginning to like think that Deku probably met up with All for One and got his quirks from him. I would say like he sees Deku using Black Slime used like as tentacles and like apparently super strength since he's destroying the robots with his hands. So when Deku finishes off of a few more robots, he sits on top of the giant mountain of destroyed robots. So, man, I have to take a lot of drinks for some reason. I don't know why. So Venom tells Deku that he probably already beat everyone testing from the past, probably the present, and most likely like the future as well. Like no one's gonna beat him. So Deku looks around and sees like other people struggling and decides to make himself look better and save them with a long range attack. And the heroes just see Deku looking around every area with like his eyes and taking care of them with ease. So then Venom tells Deku that something's coming, and Deku says that he knows and gets up turning around. So he's facing the giant robot eye to eye that like that's how tall the mountain was. Like he's facing the robot eye to eye. And Deku then senses someone like in massive danger, so he looks down and sees the same girl from earlier stuck between rocks. And he tells Venom to use the suit. So Venom says sure and covers Deku in a black suit. And I'm gonna say it looks like Deku's suit from Canon, but black and white instead of green and black. So like and the stupid hood's gone. So I don't know. I don't like that hood. It's so stupid. But it still has the mask because to be honest, that's the only cool thing about Deku's costume. Like yo, but um yeah. So Deku then jumps off the mountain and lands, getting Uraraka out of the rubble. And I'm gonna say like the only reason why he did that was because right now he's neutral with everyone, right? Like except for Bakugo. Like if he knew that they were annoying and like were cocky and all that, then he would not help them. So he takes her far enough to be safe and looks back up at the robot, and Deku just puts his arm out, making multiple tentacles come out, stabbing it into its chest. So it starts to break down, but Deku pulls like himself back to its face, and yeah, he just destroys it in one punch, stronger than like in canon. So Deku lands on the ground again next to Uraraka and lowers his mask. Like, and I'm gonna say Deku looks at her injury and nods with him tearing a piece of the black slime off, and wrapping it around the injury, but then like it fuses into her body. So she gets freaked out, like, yo, like what just happened? Did that just go into my body? But feels like much better, like wondering what just happened. So she's like concerned, like freaking out, like, yo, like what was that? Like what did you just do? But Deku just tells her like, oh, it's fine, like she's okay now. So Deku turns to see everyone staring at him, and he just waves his hand once, making the suit go back in through his hoodie. And alright, well that was stupid. My mic just got disconnected, but I don't even know where I was at. Where was I at? And it's starting to get hot. Yo, this is not good. But yeah, so yeah, the suit went back into his hoodie, and Deku just puts the mask away. But before anyone could like try and say anything, Deku like shot a web. Like it's still the tentacle, but it just feels weird saying tentacle. So launching himself away, and the heroes were still like watching and were honestly like going crazy, saying that Deku is just like so cool. Like also arguing over which agency he'll go to. So All Might is still questioning Deku and decides to speak with him when he gets to school. And I'm gonna say Deku makes it home and Inko isn't there because she's at work. But Venom pops his head out and asks Deku like about his plans, like with his powers. And Deku says to hold on to that thought and pulls out a notebook from his drawer. And Venom said like he doesn't remember that, and Deku says like he was most likely asleep, or like just honestly didn't care when he came up with the ideas. And of course a week goes by after like the entrance exam, and Deku gets the letter saying he like got top spot. Actually, what time is it? Oh yeah, I can keep on going. This video is probably short. So yeah, Venom congratulates Deku in his head, sarcastically of course, and Deku scubs. But Venom could tell Deku was kind of angry, though. It's like seeing All Might, and Deku just says like that his grudge against him will be over after he confronts All Might. But then he, what is it? All Might tells Deku that someone came up and asked like if they could if they seen him save her life, and Deku looks to see Uraraka talking to President Mike. So Deku listens and hears her say that Deku saved her without even needing to. So he just closes his eyes to keep like a mental note saying that she isn't one to be annoyed at like the others. So he still hates people that are too cocky with their quirks like Bakugo, but the tape ends and Deku just breaks it in half, throwing it in the trash. So then starts to work out again, and Venom asks if he's still like going to be the number one hero still, but Deku just pauses, then says he doesn't know yet. He has to see both sides of the story. So I'm gonna say Venom doesn't care if Deku becomes a hero or not, because either way, no one can defeat him. Like Deku is too strong and has like Shikamaru levels of IQ. Like plus he has no weaknesses anymore. So the end or like the next day comes and Deku approaches the class 1A door. So he opens it and sees Bakugo arguing with like one kid, like with the one kid that told him to shut up, which was Ida. Then he looked over to a student with like red and white hair, and it was Todoroki. So Todoroki, he seen that Todoroki was like glaring at him, but like in an angry expression. And I'm gonna say Todoroki heard that Deku's performance was like, he heard about it. And Deku stares back at him with like dead eyes, and Todoroki just shivers and questions why did he just shiver? Like that's not supposed to happen. So Venom said to Deku that he is like the number two's brat, and Deku nods, like understanding that. And everyone then sees Bakugo walking to Deku. So the word got around that Deku nearly broke Bakugo's wrist forever. But Deku says like he's sorry for what he did and reaches his hand out to shake Bakugo's hand before like he could do anything. So Bakugo just looks confused and looks up at Deku to see him like have an evil looking smirk, and it only makes Bakugo angrier, and he just smacks it away, walking to his desk again. So Venom says in Deku's head that Bakugo has to be the biggest, like dumbest idiot ever. So I'm gonna say Deku just quietly laughs a bit about what just happened, and I'm gonna say what Deku just did was slip like a piece of venom, like black slime that fused into Bakuyo's skin with Uraraka, the same that he did, which makes him control his fate basically. Like I'm saying, like it fused, like both of them fused, like how it did with Deku, but Deku can control it, like meaning that any moment Deku can basically kill Bakugo and no one would suspect anything. Or he can heal him like Uraraka, but he's not gonna kill Uraraka. Like, nah, that ain't happening. But Deku just says that that'll like come in handy one day. And then he scans the class seeing who's in, like who got in, and he gets annoyed real quick. He sees a kid that has, the purple balls as his quirk, which was Mineta, a girl that's invisible, and a guy that has a tail on steroids. Like, it's stupid. Like, how did they get in? And Venom also gets annoyed as well and says to Deku that he could have made it in without any powers, like, if they could. Like, like, All Might said to Deku that he cannot do it no matter what. And they got in. It's so stupid, but nah. I gotta move on with that. I gotta get this done and over with, actually. So after that, Deku hears like a voice behind him, and he knows that it's Uraraka, and says like, "Hey," not in an annoyed tone because Deku controls his emotions out of his head. So she freaks out a bit because she has strange feelings, like strange unknown feelings with him, like in a good way. But she quickly says that like thank you to Deku for saving her, and looks down like kind of embarrassed. So Deku grabs her chin, lifting it up, saying that it was his pleasure, giving a grin. And ooh, the girls just go oof real quick, saying that, like thinking that Deku is just a god, and Uraraka is melted like ice cream from how red she is. But Deku walks off to his seat and sits down, and Venom just asks Deku why is he like why do you do that? Why are you making the mad plays, bro? You just smooth boy. But nah. Deku says that he's trying to show that he's like a friendly person, and then Venom says, like Venom tells Deku that he's partly lying, and the teacher probably didn't like it. So Deku sensed Aizawa, and he popped up behind the desk, telling Deku to not do that while he's there. So Deku looks at the teacher and knows who he is. Then he knows that it's Eraserhead, and says he won't be any trouble. So Aizawa then tells everyone to get dressed and head outside, and they go to the locker rooms. And when Deku changes, Kirishima, I'm gonna say, asks Deku like if he works out, and Deku tells him like yeah, and names off what he does. And Kirishima just looked at Deku and told him like that's basically his whole life. All right, basically his whole life is him working out, because he does the same workout, but he looks more shredded. So Deku looks in the mirror and honestly gets like confused about how strong he looks. Like, yo, this boy is like buff, but he's still slim. So Venom says that it's probably like partly from his power, but mostly just Deku working out all the time, nonstop. So they all get outside, and Deku is told to throw the ball. And Deku like grabs it and asks Aizawa if he can like throw it 2 times. He says like yeah, whatever. And Deku like the first time does it without Venom's powers and gets 789 meters, I'm gonna say. And Aizawa gets confused and decides to use his quirk on the second throw. But Deku, when he throws the ball again, like with the powers, it catches on fire midway, like going through the air, and when it lands it gets 1,345 meters. I just gotta come up with random numbers. But yeah, so Deku then turns to look at Aizawa, who's using his quirk, like he can tell he's using it, and Deku says like that won't work on him. And All Might, who's watching, the entire time, is still like trying to 100% agree with himself that Deku spoke with all for one, and everyone else goes and Bakugo like just gets angrier and angrier, and that's because Deku beats him in everything. So the day ends, and Deku like opens up the class window, swinging away while everyone else watches. And I would say like they all just think that Deku is really strong and like has and like can control this black slime. Which oh yeah, also no one got expelled. So and Deku got first because I mean yo he just did. But I'm gonna say Deku used the black slime more than what he did in middle school because like he knew that whoever got in would see it anyway, so it just made sense. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it off there. I'll definitely get more on Bakugo in the next one, but yeah. Yeah, that's it. Finally, all right. It took 3 days to do this, 3 attempts, but I did it. Third time's the charm. But no, okay. Seriously though, I know that this week was like really bad with uploads, but I got it in the next one. Hopefully, maybe I don't know. So yeah, peace out, guys. I guess. See you guys in the next one. Remember, don't be Nita, and yeah, peace out.